In today's video, we are going to explore famous Arthur Schopenhauer quotes about life, relationship, and happiness. Let's get started. A genuine work of art can never be false, nor can it be discredited through the lapse of time, for it does not present an opinion, but the thing itself. In the end, everyone stands alone, and the important thing is who it is that stands alone. A high degree of intellect tends to make a man unsocial. A man who has not enough originality to think out a new title for his book will be much less capable of giving it new contents. A sense of humor is the only divine quality of man. After your death, you will be what you were before your birth. Almost all of our sorrows spring out of our relations with other people. There is no more mistaken path to happiness than worldliness. Animals hear about death for the first time when they die. Any foolish boy can stamp on a beetle, but all the professors in the world cannot make a beetle. Buying books would be a good thing if one could also buy the time to read them, but as a rule, the purchase of books is mistaken for the appropriation of their contents. Change alone is eternal, perpetual, immortal. Compassion is the basis of morality. Each day is a little life. Every parting gives a foretaste of death, every reunion a hint of the resurrection. Everyone takes the limits of his own vision for the limits of the world. Faith is like love. It does not let itself be forced. For it is a matter of daily observation that people take the greatest pleasure in that which satisfies their vanity, and vanity cannot be satisfied without comparison with others. For the world is hell, and men are on the one hand the tormented souls, and on the other the devils in it. For where did Dante get the material for his hell, if not from this actual world of ours? Great men are like eagles, and build their nest on some lofty solitude. Happiness consists in frequent repetition of pleasure. He who writes carelessly confesses thereby at the very outset that he does not attach much importance to his own thoughts. Honor has not to be won. It must only not be lost. Hope is the confusion of the desire for a thing with its probability. I have long held the opinion that the amount of noise that anyone can bear undisturbed stands in inverse proportion to his mental capacity, and therefore be regarded as a pretty fair measure of it. I have not yet spoken my last word about women. I believe that if a woman succeeds in withdrawing from the mass, or rather raising herself from above the mass, she grows ceaselessly and more than a man. If at any moment time stays his hand, it is only when we are delivered over to the miseries of boredom. If I maintain my silence about my secret, it is my prisoner. If I let it slip from my tongue, I am its prisoner. If we suspect that a man is lying, we should pretend to believe him, for then he becomes bold and assured, lies more vigorously, and is unmasked. If we were not all so interested in ourselves, life would be so uninteresting that none of us would be able to endure it. In our monogamous part of the world, to marry means to have one's rights and double one's duties. It is difficult to find happiness within oneself, but it is impossible to find it anywhere else. Life is a constant process of dying. Life is full of troubles and vexations that one must either rise above it by means of corrected thoughts or leave it. Life swings like a pendulum backward and forward between pain and boredom. Marrying means to grasp blindfolded into a sack, hoping to find out an eel out of an assembly of snakes. Men need some kind of external activity because they are inactive within. Money is human happiness in the abstract, and so the man who is no longer capable of enjoying such happiness in the concrete sets his whole heart on money. Mostly, it is loss, which teaches us about the worth of things. Music is the melody, whose text is the world. Nature shows that with the growth of intelligence comes increased capacity for pain, and it is only with the highest degree of intelligence that suffering reaches its supreme point. Night gives a black look to everything, whatever it may be. No one writes anything worth writing unless he writes entirely for the sake of his subject. No rose without a thorn, but many a thorn without a rose. One should use common words to say uncommon things. Ordinary people merely think how they shall spend their time. A man of talent tries to use it. Other people's heads are too wretched a place for true happiness to have its seat. Politeness is to human nature what warmth is to wax. Rascals are always sociable, and the chief sign that a man has any nobility in his character is the little pleasure he takes in others' company. Reading is thinking with someone else's head instead of one's own. Scholars are those who have read in books, but thinkers, men of genius, world enlighteners, and reformers of the human race are those who have read directly in the book of the world. Sleep is the interest we have to pay on the capital, which is called in at death. And the higher the rate of interest and the more regularly it is paid, the further the date of redemption is postponed. Solitude will be welcomed or endured or avoided, according as a man's personal value is large or small. Talent hits a target no one else can hit. Genius hits a target no one else can see. The business of the novelist is not to relate great events, but to make small ones interesting. The conviction that the world and man is something that had better not have been is of a kind to fill us with indulgence towards one another. The fourfold root of the principle of sufficient reason is Anything perceived has a cause. All conclusions have premises. All effects have causes. All actions have motives. The life of every individual, viewed as a whole and in general, and when only its most significant features are emphasized, is really a tragedy, but gone through in detail, it has the character of a comedy. The person who writes for fools is always sure of a large audience. The shortness of life, so often lamented, may be the best thing about it. The two enemies of human happiness are pain and boredom. The world is my idea. There are very few who can think, but every man wants to have an opinion. And what remains but to take it ready-made from others, instead of forming opinions for himself? There is no absurdity so palpable, but that it may be firmly planted in the human head if you only begin to inculcate it before the age of 5, by constantly repeating it with an air of great solemnity. There is some wisdom in taking a gloomy view, in looking upon the world as a kind of hell, and in confining one's efforts to securing a little room that shall not be exposed to the fire. Thus also, every keen pleasure is an error and an illusion, for no attained wish can give lasting satisfaction. Thus, the task is not so much to see what no one yet has seen, but to think what nobody yet has thought about that which everybody sees. To be alone is the fate of all great minds, a fate deplored at times, but still always chosen as the less grievous of two evils. To feel envy is human, to savor schadenfreude is devilish. To find out your real opinion of someone, judge the impression you have when you first see a letter from them. To free a man from error is to give, not to take away. Knowledge that a thing is false is a truth. Error always does harm. Sooner or later, it will bring mischief to the man who harbors it. Treat a work of art like a prince. Let it speak to you first. Truth is most beautiful undraped. Universal compassion is the only guarantee of morality. We can regard our life as a uselessly disturbing episode in the blissful repose of nothingness. We forfeit 3/4 of ourselves in order to be like other people. We seldom speak of what we have, but often of what we lack. Wealth is like seawater. The more we drink, the thirstier we become, and the same is true of fame. What a man is contributes much more to his happiness than what he has or how he is regarded by others. Whatever torch we kindle, and whatever space it may illuminate, our horizon will always remain encircled by the depth of night. Please let us know your favorite quotes from these famous Arthur Schopenhauer quotes about life, relationship, and happiness in the comments section. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel.